Hi boys and girls, it's Mrs. Gainey here to teach you a lesson on fractions. I know that Miss Healy taught you a lesson on fractions on Monday and she focused on circles. Today we're going to focus on rectangles. So a reminder, a fraction represents a part of a whole object or set of objects. So the top number is called the numerator that names the parts being identified or counted. And the bottom number is the denominator, which names the total number of parts of the whole, or in the whole. So there are three different ways we can do that. On Monday, you talked with Miss Healy about the unit fraction. That is a circle. And here I've drawn a circle that has 4 parts and 2 parts shaded. So the numerator would be a 2 and the denominator would be a 4 because the 2 parts that are shaded identify those parts being counted, and then the 4, which is the denominator, identifies all the parts of the whole, which is 4. So we have the fraction 2/4. Today we're going to be talking about the parts of the whole using a rectangle. So I've drawn a rectangle here, and this rectangle has 4 parts, 1 part that is shaded. So the numerator is going to be 1 because that's the 1 part that's shaded. And the denominator is going to be 4 because there's 4 parts of the whole. There also can be fractions in parts of a set. So if you see here, I've drawn 4 balls all together, 3 of which have dots in them or are colored. So the ones that are colored represent the numerator and identifies those parts that are colored. So that's 3 would be the numerator. And the bottom would be the 4 because there's 4 balls in the set. Okay, so now that we have reviewed, one more thing I forgot. Always, always, always remember that fractions must have equal parts. So when you practice drawing them, just do the best you can. I know it's not always perfect, but do the best you can to make the parts equal. All right, so now we're going to move on. We're going to talk about halves, thirds, and fourths. First, we're going to focus on halves. So I've got my word halves taped up here. So we are going to talk about how we can divide a rectangle into halves. There's 2 different ways. So I have already taken my paper, which is going to represent my rectangle, and I've divided them into halves. So you can see the 2 different ways we are dividing our rectangles into halves. All right, so the first one is kind of like when you fold a paper hot dog style. You have your 2 parts here. And then the second one is hamburger style fold, and you have your 2 parts here. Okay. Moving on to thirds. So I've got my thirds here and did the same thing. Used my paper and I folded them, hamburger and hot dog style. So there are 2 different ways you can create or divide a rectangle into thirds. So we've got our hot dog style fold and our hamburger style fold. So we have 1, 2, 3 parts here and 1, 2, 3 parts here of our rectangle. And then the last rectangle that we are dividing is in fourths. So I'm going to hang up my fourths here. You guys can see that. All right, so you also can split a rectangle or divide a rectangle into 4 equal parts. Hot dog style, 1, 2, 3, 4. And hamburger style, 1, 2, 3, 4. But there's also one more way that you can split a rectangle into fourths. Can you guys see that? I'll put it right over let's put it right here. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 3 different ways that you can divide a rectangle into fours. Now I have some questions for you guys. So once I finish my question, I'm going to have you guys pause the video and go ahead and write your answer down. Okay guys, first question is, show 2 different ways you can divide a rectangle into halves. Go ahead and pause the video to write down your answer. Awesome job, guys. If you drew your rectangle with 2 different equal parts, or two different ways into equal parts, you are correct. My first rectangle is split down the middle, like hot dog style, and my bottom rectangle is split down the middle as well, hamburger style. Excellent job. Next question. Show 2 different ways you can divide a rectangle into thirds. Go ahead and pause the video to write your answer down. All right, awesome job, guys. If you drew your rectangles with 3 different equal parts, like my rectangles, you are correct. 1, 2, 3 equal parts here, and 1, 2, 3 equal parts here. And last question. Show 3 different ways you can divide a rectangle into fourths. Go ahead and pause the video to write down your answer. All right, great job, guys. If you drew your rectangles like my rectangles, you are correct. Each rectangle is split equally into fourths. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 here, 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts here, and 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts here. Great job, guys. And that wraps up today's lesson on fractions. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your teacher by email. Thanks, guys. You did an awesome job. Keep up the hard work at home.